Alright, here's another video on Wusik station doing some very basic preset modulation. So I'm going to start up with the initial preset here. I have loaded my initial preset, which has a sine wave waveform. And I'm going to change it. I'm going to go to the sound sets. Let's say AOS analog voices. And here at the top, at the amplitude envelope, I'm going to click on an empty area, select ADSR mode, and raise my sustain. And now I want to do a modulation. Forgot the name of the modulation. Is vibrato is for the pitch. Well, if I remember, I tell the name, but basically it's just an LFO to the volume amplitude. So it's basically amplitude modulation, I think the name. So I'm going here on the modulation matrix tab and click add new. I'm going to use the LFO1 that's already there. Layer 1, which is my current layer. And then I go to the sample player volume. And I want it to be only positive values, because the LFO always goes from 1 to -1. So if I click absolute positive value here, it's going to be always positive. You can see here on the modulation that it changes always blue instead from blue to red. And I'm going to raise the rate. I'm going to go to the layer 1, adjust the volume to make it a bit louder. But I also want the value to change a bit. So I'm going to use the modulation envelope 1 here. I'm going to change it to ADSR mode 2. I'm going to make a decay. And here I'm going to add a new modulation. So it's going to be modulation envelope 1 to layer 1, sample player, volume. But now they're just adding one to another. I want to multiply instead. So I'm going to click on number 2 here, modulation envelope, number 2, multiply value. And I'm going to invert the envelope value. And finally, I'm going to use the MIDI 1, which is the MIDI controller 1, which is the modulation wheel. And I'm going to add it to, so it's MIDI 1 to layer 1, sample player, volume. If I raise the modulation wheel, and as I lower, I can use the MIDI controller, the modulation wheel, to adjust a bit if I want it to slowly increase the value of if I already starts with a value and then slowly starts the modulation. Another thing I can do is go to the layer, do oscillator mode. I'm going to make it 12 semitones down and adjust just a bit the fine tuning. This is the sample and hold effect for a filter. It lowers the sample rate. And another thing I can do, it's add on top of this sound, another sound. So you can see here, next sound to new layer. Let's say I use that. Okay, now I have two sounds. Then analog sounds and a multi-saw sound. And I can even change the transpose of just one of the sounds. So I'm going to make it 12 semitones up. And I can also have the vibrato effect. I don't know if it's the vibrato the name, but I can make it more aggressive. Instead of sine waveform, I can go with square waveform. But you can already notice that it adds a clicking to it because it's closing and opening the sound very fast. So you have to use the smooth option. Let's try it just a bit. So I just added 0.0.2 and already removes the clicking of the audio. If you add more, it's going to sound like a sine waveform anyway. So what I do to fine tune, I use the right mouse click to do a very fine tuning. Otherwise, it's a bit harder to do. But yeah, it's still possible. 0.02 is the minimum before it goes off. And since you have two waveforms here, let's say we add another layer. Let me think. I have an idea, but I'll have to change things a bit. So let's see. Instead of the sample player volume, we could use the master volume. No, we don't have access to the master option. Master volume, master option, master volume, master option, master volume. had to reduce the output volume of the master because the master mixes the audio signal instead comparing to the layer settings, which doesn't. So now what I can do is, what can I do? Add another sample player layer. And I'm going to add, let's say, the Quark 700. I'm going to go to the modulation again. Now I'm on the second sample player modulation. You can see that it's empty. If I go to the first one, there is my modulation to the master. So what I'm going to do is add the modulation envelope 1 to the sample to the layer 2 and the sample player pitch envelope. So let me check if I have to adjust the pitch envelope in here. No, I think it's hard coded already. There is no option to change the pitch envelope value. But that's not a problem right now. So now I'm going to go to the ADSR mode on my envelope. And let's see what happens. No, it's too high and it's aliasing like crazy. I don't want it to be that much, so I'm going to adjust the amount. And make it linear. And also remove the velocity because I don't want the velocity effect. But the effect's not sounding that great because I'm using the master volume to modulate. And a modulation from inside a sample player layer. And it's not the best option. But it kind of works. So I'm going to put it back to the sample player volume instead. Because it sounds much better. There's a reason for that, because of how internally the voice allocation works. Best just to go like that. And another thing I could make is to invert the pitch sound from here. I could invert the envelope actually, but I don't like that sound. Let me try another one. one thing that's really missing is some effect. So I'm going to add FX1 to both layers. Go to Effect Master, send FX1, and add a chorus, double chorus, and after the chorus, the delay. So there we go. You can have a lot of fun just playing around with things. As we saw, I think this preset is very easy to understand. If not, please let me know and try to explain better. But well, that's it for this video. So thanks for watching.